My name's Gardy. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. I'm going to kick this on the FM, and we're going to have some fun. Feel free to share this out. Feel free to ask some questions. Here we go. Good morning. It's KHEA. My name's Gardy. It's Kickstart, and I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. We're going to be talking about health and wellness and how you can start your path down that way. It's a journey, and it's a lifelong thing. So, Dr. Chapa, I'm excited you're here today. How's it going?
Hey, Gardy, it's good to be back. Man, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that all is well. And guess what? It's 9/11, one of my favorite numbers of all time. And you ever just go around your day and you just see random things that seem to be not so random when they happen every day or every moment of the day. And yes, 9/11 happens twice a day, but yet it's interesting, like, how do you just naturally look at the clock and it be 9/11? And here it is, 9/11. So I always look at 9/11. Some people say, oh, that means crazy's happened, emergency, red. I, on the other hand, am of the side that it's a sign of new growth, new development, new expandatory, extraordinary coming my way. Or maybe, the Lord's promising to give me a Porsche 911. I don't know. I mean, it could go either way, but both would be fantastic.
Either are okay.
And so every time I see it on a license tag or even to the point, one time I was put in a hotel room and they changed my room. Guess what room they put me in?
9/11?
9/11.
Yeah.
I just sat back and go, all right. So what I've done is that took that randomness and I turned it into like an opportunity just to give glory and praise to Jesus and just say, Lord, thank you for winking at me, and letting me be reminded of that new, extraordinary, expansive growth that's coming my way. Yeah. Thank you for that Porsche 911, white with blue racing stripes. Just saying, and so. I think that it's kind of neat that we had a little late start this morning, but the opportunity just to kind of sit back and just go, cool. Even in the busy hustle and bustle of the non-holiday, we can still find ourselves, caught in the crazy of our minds. We can have what I saw this weekend, a party where kids are running around having a great time. And then the post-party, the meltdown, the tears, the sensitive feelings, the short fuse, the inability to respond to their environment and then to be reactionary.
That's like 2 o'clock at my house.
Well, yeah. It might be. This was, but then to see how the brain was affected whenever food, a hot dog, and cookies and cake were given back to the kid, and all of a sudden, boom, they just exploded with new energy. It was fascinating to just, it's not something it's not like we don't know this thing happens, but it's fascinating to watch what happens in the kid. And who knows, that kid might go home and their parents might go, what did we do? They could crash. They could go back into a temper tantrum they can't get under control. And so our brain is just so fascinating of a vessel. And the more we study the brain, the more we realize we really don't know its full capacity. We don't understand, how to really tap into its fullness. I remember, back when I was a young kid, people would say, oh, you're only, able to use 10% of your brain. That never sat well with me. I've always, sat back and said, why would God give me 100% of a brain and say, oh, well, you can only use 10% of it? Maybe they were trying to insinuate that you can only use 10% at a time. Well, there again, how is that really, how's that possible when you have a whole? That would be like always limiting, like the apple or the mango or the food to, oh, well, this big old plate of food comes out and you can only have 10% of it. The rest of it you got a chunk. I mean, does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Then why in the world would our brain be any different? Why would we only be able to tap into 10% of it if we have a whole brain? And so I've always just kind of been fascinated with this idea of okay, well, I'm not going to accept that. So first and foremost, that did not resonate as a truth. And so as we kind of get launching into the topic, before we get launching into the topic of brain fog and memory and how to maximize your brain function, I have some cool announcements. I believe November 12th, we have a wellness fun run with Anchor Point. We're going to be over at Gloria Day Church in Nassau Bay, and that is going to be a fun run event. I will be moving on that path. I'm not sure I'm going to run it, but I'm not much for, liking long-distance runs, or I know 5K is not a long-distance run, but I'm going to definitely get out there and move and groove and shake my tail feathers and have some fun. And so we invite you to come and participate and have a good time. We have teamed up with Anchor Point Ministries on a lot of different levels. Love Anchor Point dearly, and they are a mission-focused, giving families hope day in and day out. And so we always encourage people to, if you are in need of hope, Anchor Point Ministries is a great tool and resource. If you are adopting children, Anchor Point's a great ministry to help and support. If you have a child and you're kind of in a spot where you didn't intend to have a child, Anchor Point's got answers and tools to help you. If you are a parent that is, that y'all have adopted kids and you feel like there's a bunch of chaos in your home, Anchor Point's got a lot of tools and resources. Their Camp Hope program that they do 1 to 2 times a year, amazing, program to teach structure and nurture in the home, for the kid and for the parents, and integrating that applicably in a real world, situation where we're all out there being distracted, being pulled every which way to Sunday, and easily letting, love and hope and support fall through the cracks. So Anchor Point's been a great ministry tool for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons, and we at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center love them and are thankful to be a part in teaming. So again, November 12th, at Gloria Day in Nassau Bay, and it is really exciting that we're going to be out there having a fun run, and we invite you to be a part of it. And secondly, what we're also very, very thrilled and excited about, on September 24th at 1 to 3, we are going to be having a Wellabration. A Wellabration, something like that. It's the best singing voice I got.
That's pretty good.
You like that high pitch, right? That was kind of legit. And so what we're thinking about doing at this Wellabration is we're going to have a non-cakewalk giveaway. So, you go to like these Harvest Fest, and we're getting close to that season. So we thought we would be the first, to kick off the cakewalk style, non-cakewalk in this case, because we're not going to be giving away cake. Sorry. We are Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, where we believe all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and good nutrition drives us onward, upward, good, and Godward, onward towards extraordinary, which we hope that you and I will meet and be always in this life that we have. And the cool thing is we're going to be giving away lots and lots and lots of prizes. And so I cannot remember the exact dollar amount. Maybe Jennifer can post that in the link, but I think it's like over $1,000 worth of stuff. I mean, and so we're really excited. And you come to the ribbon cutting is going to launch at 1:30, and we are going to, just celebrate. Frankly, it just touching. Excited to share what God has done for Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center and the message of hope that we bring to our community. We get very excited about the idea of giving people hope that they don't have to suffer with their ails, that whatever story they've been given, whatever diagnosis they've got or symptom pattern they've been living with, they might be able to change the game if they would change the way they live, change the choices that they make day in and day out. And that's why we come on the radio, Gardy. That's why we do classes at our office. That's why we expanded and brought better tools and resources to the Detox Center. We are all at a seminar this weekend, our team, and continuing to sharpen the axe so that when patients come in, we can be fully present, fully aware to serve them at their best. And we just want to showcase what God has done in our lives, what He's going to continue to do in your life and your family's life. And we invite people, we've always called ourselves to be a beacon on a hill that will and that cannot be hidden. That's what the Word says we are, right? Well, we wanted to just transpire that idea into the realm of health. For those that have been in our office before that haven't been in a while, you're welcome to come back. Those that are here present, we want to get you, more acquainted with the tools and resources we have, because we've got more, to give and to offer, so that you can find better ways to navigate your day-to-day, whether it's through stress relief or detoxification or repletion, so that you can build your wellness tree. You can dig your roots down deep and become healthier, stronger, more vibrant, so that you can be more extraordinary doing all the things that you love doing in your life. I mean, it's your life, your health, your choice, and health does that. So we're going to be just going through and showcasing all the different modalities of the detox spa, the event center, and then, of course, what we're doing chiropractically, nutritionally, with our heart sound testing. I mean, we've got so many tools, and it seems a little bit like daunting and overwhelming when I even sit and talk about it, because where does one start? Well, that's why you have a team of people at Living Well that will help navigate you through the process. It's like the roadblocks or the roadmap to health. We want to give you those steps so that you know which way to go, when to go, and then when things happen in life, you know where to turn. I mean, I'm always excited when people show back up because they have allowed us to be a voice of wellness in their life. So come, Wellabration, September 24th from 1 to 3. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on. You're going to want to be there and be a part of what we have to offer. We have some other specials happening that day as well. So it's just going to be a really good, quick couple hours to just celebrate wellness. And so we're excited to kick that off. So, here we go. We're talking about brain fog, how many kids today are dealing with brain fog? And you're thinking, kids? What about adults? You know what I mean? How many adults are struggling to stay focused on what it is that they are tasked to do today? And we, as either children or adults or elderly, whatever, age bracket you are, age is only a number. It doesn't matter. You still have a whole brain. And if your brain is not firing and functioning at the level that you want it to be, there may be some things that you can do to turn that around, to get back some of that, youthful vibrancy and synaptic activity in the brain. And, obviously, we start our day right. We want to look at okay, what are we going to do to start our day right to make sure that we can have a strong, healthy brain? Gardy, your turn. What do we do to start our day right?
Usually water.
Oh, I love your thinking.
As you're drinking some water.
Mm-hmm. Water's an excellent place. I literally start my morning with 12 to 20 ounces of water right out the gate. And oftentimes lately, I've been pushing myself to get about 32 ounces within the first 15 minutes of being awake. And I look at it like a waterfall, like I'm literally waking up the tissues and letting that water bathe my insides, because that's what I use to, if you will, break my fast, because things might be a little bit drier in there. There may be some debris from last night's detoxification processes. There may be some leftover gunk from yesterday that didn't get fully evacuated, and hopefully that'll stimulate those bowels to excrete whatever waste from detox that happened last night while I was sleeping deeply, hopefully. And water is absolutely a great thing to start with if you have and struggle with brain fog. Now remember, brain fog is that idea that I can't remember names, numbers, words. I mean, how many people deal with this? A lot. You sit down in a meeting and your attention span is that of a gnat. Oh, please don't insult me. But yet you're so right. How did you know I had the attention span of a gnat? Well, interestingly, some of that is due to what we call supernatural stimuli. We live in a culture today where we are so bombarded with lights, with cameras, with tangible information overload at any given point in our day. We've got things dinging. We've got things ringing. We've got continuous amounts of distractor level of impact on our brain. And then if we didn't have all the external environmental stimuli coming in all at once in all different angles, Well, then we have what our subconscious is holding. I mean, how many times have you said, hey, let's go have coffee with so and so, or have lunch with so and so, and you don't write it down, and now your subconscious has to hold that data for a week. You know what I mean? That's that now we're overloading our brain with now it should be able to handle it, assuming what? You have margin, meaning you have bandwidth, meaning you have a little room in that database hard drive of yours to manage this extra information. And it's not a bad idea to do memory work. Memory work is really fascinating and powerful. One of the problems they're seeing today with technology is that information is so readily available that we aren't using our memory database, and we're literally living in the short term. And it's in the short term, it's constant. We just flip to one idea to another idea to another idea to another idea, and we don't allow proper storage of that data to make manifest. For tomorrow's regurgitation, for tomorrow's impact on our society. Now, assuming you play music, so you're not like going to forget a song that you're playing probably once or two times a month when you've played it probably daily for years. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so fundamentally, if you've got fundamentals, you've already built those synaptic long-term pathways that whenever you pick up the song and the cues come in, whatever the cue is, the trigger is, the stimuli is, I'm in the key of this, and I know the song, and I know the tune, and I've heard it 1,000 times. My fingers have played it 1,000 times. You're not going to forget most of the time. But I have been in myself, even at times where I'm trucking right along, and those little cool digital locks on the back of your door, so you don't have to have a key anymore. You just hit the code, unlock the deadbolt, in you go. Well, what happens when that little 4-digit code just vanishes out of your database?
That's happened to me before.
My God, what did it make you feel like?
It's weird, in like an alarm, like getting in, and it only comes whenever I think about it too much. Or I'm like, I'm gonna forget the code. I don't know the code. And then like it blanks, and I get that. I guess that's that brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever like I subconsciously, sometimes I don't even think about it and punch it in and go in. But it's that's weird. It makes you feel like panic because it's like deet.
Yeah.
The police are about to be called. They're what's going on. This situation.
And so that is, that's only a 4-digit code.
Yeah.
And hopefully, it's always going to happen whenever you got your hands full.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, I got to let all this stuff down, whatever. But that's an indicator that you've got too much on your plate, too much in that subconscious, and you're not able to retain or access. It's like, walking into a room and going, I can't even get to the other side of the room. There's too many things to walk around. Your brain's doing the same thing because the information wasn't organized appropriately. And so your brain, although a superpower machine, you can overload it with unnecessary stimuli. And they've done studies around this. So much so that, fascinating things, that they've taken lovebirds and different types of creatures in the wild, and they have shown that they can take artificial eggs, and that birds will sit on the artificial eggs, ignoring their real eggs, because the fake eggs are prettier, more stimulating. They took fake birds with their baby birds with their mouths wide open, ready to eat, as a decoy. And they would use that. The real birds would ignore their chirping, moving, hungry little baby birds and give to the ones that are properly stimulated in the right or they're in the right posture and ready to eat. And they would feed those birds over the other. We know that's true. That's how ducks, the duck decoys work. We have a bunch of ducks sitting on the water, ducks flying through the air, look down and go, hey, must be safe down there. They can't tell, always the difference. But they have found that different color sensations, are very much more attractive those become stimuli. You got to think that every time you click on an ad, they make these ads more appeasing, more stimulate friendly, or attractive for you to be triggered by it, so that you'll click on it, because every time you click on something, somebody's getting money. So the people are motivated through the business of you clicking on something and holding your attention, in hopes that you will wash and rinse and do it again later and do it again tomorrow and do it again the next day, and it gets you into a pattern. And and we know this is true, because how often do we sit back letting our brains run idle and just letting some stimuli run across the TV? Or we jump into the TV via a video game and try to become the superhero, but we try to become the adventurer. And what they're finding is that people are so stressed out, like they have so many things on their to-do list, they have so many different things running in their subconscious, that they are looking to escape reality. So we look for idle time. We look for time to disassociate from our reality and recreate our ideal world. And I mean, the same thing with imagery. I mean, like the Snap, for example, like you can change the filters on the camera so much and make yourself look so different. And they have found that people are sometimes more attracted to the digital imagery of themselves, or fake character, affairs on the screen with things that aren't real. Like the brain is a very powerful tool. And yet, if used appropriately, can do amazing, powerful, exciting, extraordinary things. But when used wrong or stimulated wrong, and the addictions set in, the dopamine pushes it become the new addiction. We're looking for the next stimulus, we're looking for the next buzz, we're looking for the next high, we're fear of missing out, whatever the stimuli that drives that dopamine continual pathway. Then we find ourselves constantly distracted and off course from our God-given destiny, our plan. And the plans, the Bible says that a man plans his way, but the Lord orders what? The steps, and we don't stop long enough to look where our next step is. We can't sit still long enough in order to stay focused on a topic. I mean, I wonder how many people have flipped off this channel, whenever they are looking for the stimuli that they need that morning. So that means you and I got to be as stimulating and attractive as coffee, as a Red Bull, or as whatever the energy drink that people are going for, right? In order to keep their attention on how to, learn about their health long enough so that they can make 1 degree of change. Because we recognize that turning that ship is not necessarily going to be an easy task, but it's going to require, you willpowerly saying no to some of these stimuli. One of the things about brain fog that happens that's just simple. Obviously, we talked, we know it's diet. I mean, that is a huge thing. That's why I kind of opened up with the story of the little kid that started crashing, having temper tantrums and fits, and he was fed, got into sugar, hot dog, sugar, cookies, cakes, and then and the soda probably. And actually, that's not true. He was surprisingly drinking water. So it wasn't liquid sugar, but it was amazing to see his system kind of course correct, and then he turned right back on, and it was as a wild Indian as he could be when he got there. It was just fascinating to see. That's what food does. Food is fuel. By definition, from Webster, food should regenerate us. It should energize us. It should, take our brain to a new level of thinking and creativity, where we feel engaged. But I mean, how many times have you had a day where your brain was like on fire, man? You were like, yes, this is the best. This is amazing. And then the next day you're like down in the dumps, and you can't seem to find a creative juice anywhere, and then you're reaching for the limitless pill, whatever you call it. And they took studies, and they started, they would inject different types of vaccine into their test subjects and just enough to create inflammation, right? And the inflammation was enough to disrupt the synaptic activity in the brain, and they were just trying to see, okay, now that we've got inflammation elevated that we can control, now let's put them into a situation where they have to make some hard critical thinking decisions. And can they do it under certain layers of inflammatory stress? And they found, as you would think, the more and the longer the inflammatory stress was present, the harder it was to be a critical thinker. Again, it's another obstacle that the brain has to sort around in order to get to their end result. And so if you ever find yourself very indecisive, maybe it is your personality, maybe it's your toxicity load, maybe it's the inflammation that's running in the brain. What is inflammation? Inflammation, is it good? Is it bad? Inflammation can be good. If you hyperflex your toe and it turns black and blue, is that a good thing? Well, yeah. It's telling you what?
That there's something wrong. It's the check engine light, right?
It's a check engine light, right? The problem is whenever it doesn't heal and it remains swollen for a month or two, or for an abnormal amount of time, and it doesn't restore back to its full function. Inflammation has a healing effect on our body that we definitely need. And we need the inflammation to remind us, hey, you're injured. Hey, you need to slow down. Hey, danger, danger. Don't keep going that path. You're going to wear that tissue out and it's not going to heal. But what happens when the inflammation's in our brain due to toxicity levels from environmental stimuli, from a lack of sleep, too much sugar in the diet, too many energy drinks, too many stimulus that are causing the brain to remain chronically inflamed, and then it never rests because you're watching movie reels in your head while you're sleeping, which means you're not sleeping. You're up till 1 or 2 and 3 in the morning, looking at your cell phone, and now you can't get out of bed in the morning, and then but you have to because you got to be at work, and then you're trying to get through your morning. Inflammation, like the brain when you sleep, needs a bath. Just like people like taking a bath before bed so they feel more comfortable, your brain gets a bath in the first 3 hours of sleep. And if you are, not getting adequate sleep, minimum of 6. I think if we could, of all the things I've read, sleep would say 6 to 8 hours is like the bare min. If you can get 9, great. If you need more than that, that's an indicator of 2 that your body is highly inflamed and it's actually shutting you down. And be thankful. That might be an indicator. I've seen a patient that literally slept 19 hours a day for a week, and then that went down to 15 hours for the second week, down to 12 hours the third week. And by the end of the fourth and fifth week, they were back down to a normal 8 to 9 hour cycle of sleeping. And they were diagnosed with depression, chronic fatigue, and brain fog. But they had an opportunity to go and get help. They were able to go to their, the husband was able to take care of the kids. The mom was able to go and spend time with her family. They lived out on a farm, and they were able to give her the rest she needed. And it was exactly what her body needed from a hormonal support, a detoxification support, a digestive support to be restored. And sleep was a huge factor. Getting proper nutrition regularly was a factor. Making sure that we were limiting the amount of stimuli she was getting. Being in nature, like when you go to a zoo or you go to just to a farm even, where you just listen to the cicadas cicading, or you look around and you just see squirrels playing, or pigs pigging, or whatever happening, and you just stop and you just go, wow, like nature's cool. And you maybe even barefooted, and you're like letting your body earth into the ground, and you're finding that solitude, that space where you're starting to like slow down the thinking process, and you're not letting the phone dictate your attention span. And it's very difficult. And I don't know that, in the world of supernatural stimuli, it's realistic that we're ever getting rid of these things, right? But at the end of the day, you do have willpower. And if we can get your mineral balance in check, you will have a bandwidth again that helps you make choices and decisions under pressure where you're not being constantly pulled. Well, You're always going to be pulled, but you are not allowing the pulling. So there is a level of your a bandwidth to say no. Hey, I need to focus on the Living Well podcast right now. I need to listen. I need to hear what Dr. Chapa is saying, because I know that this could affect my day or my family or my kids. Or if you're in school and you're like, man, I gotta stay focused. How do I get there? And so one of the things that we love to do in our office is to give people tools and resources. And we first have people evaluate what they eat, because what do we know about food? It's important, right? But what you don't eat, inflammatory foods, sometimes foods, no foods, or just flat out too much food, is more important to pay attention to. So I would say there's a sense of one of the tools to fixing brain fog and getting your bandwidth back and getting your creative juices flowing again is to make sure that you are controlling, or at least aware that you are in control more than you realize, your food intake and what choices that you're putting in. So if you're a constant, 1 a day, 2 a day, 5 a day coffee drinker, and you're wondering why your bandwidth is short, you wonder why you're continually overwhelmed, a little bit anxious, a little bit like palpitory sensations in your chest, and your mind is whirling with ideas, and you can't get that stuff to stop. I mean, just listening to myself talk, I'm getting overwhelmed, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you slow that down? How do you, okay, let's process a little bit slower. I mean, it is pretty cool that we can listen to audibles and things, YouTubes and things at 1.5 speed and 1.75 speed, and maybe even, if you're real good, 2.0 speed. But is life designed to move always at that speed?
I'm going to say no. I don't think so.
I would say no. I mean, what happens if I ask you to start playing music at 2.0 speed? It wouldn't sound quite as good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have you ever accidentally listened to something at a 1.5 or 1.75 speed, and then it switches over to a song, or you throw it onto a song, but it didn't change back to normal speed, and you're like, that doesn't sound right? And you get through the song faster, but is that the point?
Yeah. In music, playing music in church, which I do and have for years growing up and learning to play that way, a lot of times now we play with the click track. So you have the click in your ears, so you kind of play at 70 BPM, 140 BPM, 120 BPM. But yeah, even 1, 2, 3 BPMs up or down, it makes a difference between it dragging and it's like, hey, it's too quick, it's rushed. So there is that comfortable space, but yeah, it makes a big difference.
It totally. Mm-hmm. And I think that, our mind, even non-musically inclined minds, we have a beat track, and we have a level of processing speed and ability to make sense of the world around us. And when things are coming in too fast, there's overwhelm. When things are coming in too slow, we're getting sleepy and kind of dragging. And so finding that space is one of the most important things, and making sure that simply evaluating, being aware that food matters is a first step. Being aware of your water intake is a first step. And that's something easily that you can start managing now, right? And you're like, oh, that's just one more thing I got to do, Dr. Chapa. I know. But here's what we find interesting. If I'm asking you to evaluate this stuff and you just jot it down, even chicken scratch. I mean, you don't have to be detailed weighing out ounces and this, that, and the other. Just, I had cereal this morning. We can assume that you put milk on it, right? Most people don't put water on it. Most people don't eat it dry. If you had, toast, we could assume you probably put butter or peanut butter or avocado on it. I mean, it'll replay that. You don't have to hold that in your database. But if you just have triggers, so you had pasta. Well, we can assume you had a lot of pasta. We can assume that there was several meatballs on there, and you probably threw in some breadsticks, and maybe if you're lucky and were wise, threw on a little salad on the front end of that. Thinking,
some Parmesan on the pasta.
Of course. I mean, you don't have to be detailed on the food log. You just need to write down the main idea of what you had, because now you're looking at your day and you say, man, I only had one meal today. Well, that's what everybody's saying to do, Dr. Chapa, to intermittent fast. No. They didn't say intermittently starve continually is the right approach. So the reason you feel so good right now, and it's only been a week that you've been doing it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is and that you're only eating one meal a day, is because you have extra stuff, energy, potential energy in your body that you're allowing your body to tap into and store. But what we don't want is you to get to a point where you actually deplete those potential energy stores and then not have any layer of repletion bandwidth where your body now is going into deficit. Now, is there a time when deficit is necessary and good? I think so. I'm looking forward to detox. I'm already looking forward to even looking at maybe doing my 22nd gallbladder flush. And it's a 4-day Apple program. But you know what I like about it most? Is that it's like 4 days of just resting the digestion. I don't have to worry about what I'm eating. I don't have to think too much about it. And I can just let my body chill and let my digestion chill, because I work my digestion a lot and hard often. And that's why I do intestinal cleanse protocols, and I'm using clay, bentonite clay, activated charcoal, cleolite, zeolite, different types of binders to help soak up old residue and trash in the bowels. It's like, sometimes we need a deep cleaning in our houses and our bathrooms and our baseboards and our bedrooms and this, that, and the other, right? And so this is ways that we can get the body to do deep cleaning, is focused awareness that it's our job to budget that into our year, budget that into a month. And you could schedule this stuff on a calendar. And that brings us to another great idea in managing your bandwidth and managing the stimuli that are coming in and at you, is to make sure that you're scheduling time for you and your spouse, scheduling time for you and a business meeting, or catch-up time with friends, if you haven't seen somebody in a long time, or sitting down and just, what about simply starting your day in quiet with the Lord, budgeting that time in. And how easy is it to just race past the Lord as he's sitting there? Whoa, I thought we had a meeting this morning. I thought you wanted to hang out with me, Oh, no, I don't have time today, Lord. I got some other things to do, a lot of other things to do. And that happens morning after morning after morning, where we're hitting the ground running, that we get to a point where, we can snooze right past our alarm clocks because we're so tired, and we're so able to adapt our thinking. We can actually turn off that alarm in our head and turn it into an alarm or some sort of, stimuli in a dream, and make our dreams better. Isn't that wild? And so our brain is powerful, and we want to help you use that brain to a full efficiency. So we look at food, look at water intake. We start looking at, what are you scheduling on your calendar? Are you scheduling things on your calendar and giving yourself a reminder to relieve the subconscious from having to remember all the things that are on your list? You know what I mean? And so we again, take a step back and just say, all right, well, what can I do? I don't have time to put all these things in my calendar. Okay, well, we need to go buy you one of those cool pins, or that little button that has all the 7 different ways that you can say, no, heck no.
Yeah.
And all the different no words. We got to learn that word and use that word and apply that word, because if you're so busy, we know busy means being under Satan's yoke. And if you're so busy that you're not able to, manage, writing a food log even, or scheduling things to allow your subconscious not to have to remember everything, then you got to assess that. How busy am I really? How much time am I really spending doing this, that, and the other? And what you might find, I've even budgeted and inventoried my day through what I did in 15-minute, 30-minute, hour increments, and I was shocked. I have time throughout the day to do some things, but I also noticed that if I am constantly under the pressure or the dopamine illusion of I need to be stimulated and I need to be, motivated to do something, or if there are different trigger cues that are constantly, taking attention off of my current task and getting me distracted onto a new task, I may need to learn to say no, or to take action in removing some of the stimuli out of your life, so that we can get to what we call the fundamentals again. Like, fundamentally, keeping your blood sugar stable is important. Fundamentally, making sure that you're drinking enough water is important. Fundamentally, making sure that you're having a bowel movement every day. I ask patients day in and day out about their bowels. It's the second question I ask every patient on every visit. Chiropractic or nutrition, it doesn't matter. They can come in for emotional work. Have you pooped today? That is the first or the second question that's asked. Why? You've got 3 million more neurotransmitters in your digestive tract than you do in your brain. What does that mean? That means that the healthier your digestive tract, the healthier your brain. The more unhealthy your digestive tract, the more unhealthy your brain. The more stress you have, the less blood you have in your gut. Therefore, the less neurotransmitter formation you have, the less movement and mobility that your neurotransmitters have. And guess what? The less your brain works. They've shown that exercise, very powerful in giving the brain energy and clarity because of, again, the blood flow. The lymphatics remove the waste, the blood brings nutrition, and the body begins to become more electrically active. And that lifting weights, getting on a machine to increase your blood flow and heart rate does so many wonderful things for memory, cognition, for focus, for attention, for creativity. It is off the chart. So, could you be more active? Of course you could. I mean, they even have bicycle pedal things for those that are not maybe interested in going to a gym. You can do stuff right in your own home. Just push that thing to the side or pull it out in front of you and get to pedaling. Get the blood flow moving, and the more your blood is moving, the better you're going to groove. You're going to feel more alert, more alive, and your mind's going to thank you. And so this is an important part of turning your brain on and making it a very productive member of society, of your work, of your social circle, of your family plan, of your relational plan, and helping you think through where you're going to be 5 years from now, 15 years from now, 25 years from now. And if you start applying the principles and practices of awareness, if you get into prayer states, meditative states, if you are able to stop and smell the roses, so to speak, and enjoy it, as opposed to, yep, those are blue bonnets, here we go. Yep, those are roses, here we go. I don't care what kind of rose, I find myself fascinated with plumerias. I love how easy they are to grow. I love the fact that you get these cool colored ones, and even though the colors only come out certain times a year, it still makes me really happy when they pop out. And it makes me feel like accomplished. But how often do I just stop and look and evaluate, how they look today, and when are they rustling in the wind? We have to like take the bull by the horns, because the person who learns to fight back temptation's coming. If you give in to temptation over and over and over and over and over again, and you never say no to it, you'll never experience what it feels like to grow from it, right? To really experience the wind, you want to press against the wind, not just lay down and let it blow over you. That might be one experience, but to truly appreciate its power is, can you operate effectively in, full-fledged wind in front of you? Like the pressure of temptation is the same. If you can say no to it once, then guess what? You can say no to it twice. Then you can build a streak, maybe 3, maybe 7, maybe 15. Oh, that failed. And then you get back on the horse and you try it again. Next time you get 17 17 temptation overcoming streak, and you're able to find that your ability to manage your day becomes stronger, because the mental fortitude of your brain is like it's a vessel, it's an organ. It needs to be exercised. It needs to be stimulated, but not in the same kind of level of stimulation that we see through video games, technology, and the constant information age stimuli. We need to take a step back and go to the old roots and go all right, well, how good is my memory? How well is my critical thinking? What am I doing to exercise that part of the brain, as opposed to just being a sponge of information and hopes that the brain will process that information, file that information, and find it useful later, right? So we want to be mindful of the whole concept of garbage in, garbage out. I mean, what are you putting into your mind? I mean, you are a product of the books you read, the CDs you listen to, the people you hang out with, and the noise and voices in your head. So we want to make sure that what you hear are positive, good, informative ideas that help you apply practice into saying no, into taking the bull by the horns and jotting down how your day is playing out, and taking the memory aspect of things that aren't important. Like, you don't have to remember that meeting that you have next week, because you have technology that can remind you. So if we leverage technology to help make ease for us mentally, it allows you to practice things to keep your mind in full stimulated engagement, where you can continue learning and continue growing and developing in critical thinking and being able to navigate, the busy of life and saying, oh, that doesn't fit in my day's plan, so I'm going to say no to that today. That doesn't fit into how I want to be, 5 days from now, 10 days from now, 90 days from now, stress-wise. So I'm going to say no to that stress. Now, when it comes to exercise, that's a stress too. And so we want to be careful not to say no to exercise and make excuses on why we won't go to the gym or go get at that blood flow, because we know science has proven, immensely, that if you want to live a long time, lift heavy things. Going for a walk after a meal improves blood flow and lymphatic flow and to the bowels, and it improves the digestive capacity. Not running, not sprinting, just a gentle walk. That mobility of the hips and the spine allows nerve stimulation, blood stimulation, lymphatic flow, and trash removal, so that your system is more empowered to break down the food, absorb the food that you're using as fuel. Hopefully, you're eating more healthier foods. And then, of course, as we look at what we're eating and choosing better, making better choices, as we're evaluating our schedules and learning to say no and learning to slow down, learning to find that meditative state, that prayer state, recognizing that, these are things that are in our control and power. Then we've got one other tool. We can supplement. We can use things like ribonucleic acid. We can use things like acetyl-CoA cofactors that help acetylcholine build up in the brain to maximize brain function, so that the fog clears. We can use circulatory support, blood support, like tuna omega or omega fish oils, to maximize DHA in the brain and to maximize the memory cognition piece of what's happening in our brain. We could use, balance out calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. And by balancing these minerals out, we can make sure that the brain has mental breaks in order to slow down, so that it can think through the next phase of the day and that next process at hand. We can take a step back and clean our system up a little bit and get some of the debris out of the tissue. So we're repleting the body with nutrients to create a healthy environment for stimulation. But then we clean the body up and say, thank you, body, for letting me process and power through the day-to-day. Here's some cleanup crews to help clean up the messes that, I know you're going to clean up anyway, but I just want to give you some extra help, because brain, body, y'all have done such a good job and given me the mental fortitude and power to tackle the day, to have the vim, vigor, and vip to live well, be well, and stay well through my food choices, my diet, through my lifestyle choices, through my prayer choices, through my relational choices. You're giving your body resources and tools. People say to me all the time, they like, Doc, I don't want to take supplements. I don't want to have to, rely on that stuff. Well, then you better learn to say no. You better learn to slow down a little bit, because we are living in an age where stimuli are coming in from the north, the south, the east, and the west, and they will distract you. They will derail you. They will offload their junk on you, and you might find yourself addicted to the dopamine stimuli thereafter in you, because they know that that's a modulatory behavioral brain chemical that they have mastered in puppeteering your day. And if you're getting puppeteered by the externals of your world, then we want to help you navigate the brain fog, the overlayered stimulation that you're being exposed to. And so when you come in as a patient at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're going to teach you how to slow down. We're going to teach you, remind you that it's your life, your health, your choice, that you can say no to some of these things, that you can pray through some of these things, that you can feed your body again through proper nutrition and supplementation, and clean your body up through detoxification and making sure that the system is running as optimal as it can be, knowing that we live in a degenerative earth suit. I'm not saying I have the fountain of youth here, but I know that we can control the accelerated aging process if we take the bull by the horns, if we make some of these lifestyle choices. And there's going to be times where you kind of fall off the rails in the wagon, but guess what? Get back up. Do it again. Why do we fall, Gardy?
So we can get back up.
So we can get back up again, So it's not a quitting situation. It's that fighting back the temptation. It's fighting back the hustle and bustle. It's fighting back the I don't have control and getting back control. And when you start doing some of these simple practices like we're talking about, you will begin to feel more empowered. You'll begin to feel more alive, and you'll feel like you're accomplished because you're performing creativity. You're creatively, I think might be the word. You're performing. You're performing efficiently at such a level because you have bandwidth. You have a powerhouse of minerals and brain support coming in through supplementation to help manage, the different stresses that are coming that you can't control, so that you can stay and remain focused on the task at hand, the goals at hand, the long-term vision at hand, the business project at hand, the deadline that needs to be met. You can stay focused and not feel like the little buzzing gnat, who surely is literally just primal, just reacting to the stimuli that he sees. So I get excited about, how do we maximize brain power? And your brain is more effective, more functional than ever. There's other things we can do, brain exercises. We could do eye exercises, wrist exercises, joint mobility programs. We can do, different types of challenges to help you, change aspects of your diet to see what foods are overreactionary in your body, which foods are not throwing you off. And so we challenge you. We just push you to take that step of wellness. Take that step today toward a better version of you, and let Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center be your number one health and wellness resource. We want that. We want to help you move forward in a way that is exciting. We want to help your body perform like it's always been designed to, and teach you, if you're having these symptoms, this is why. Like, we want to teach you why your body's breaking down so that you can begin to change the game for yourself moving forward. So we always invite you to give us a call, 281-554-8600. Visit our website, justlivewell.com, and let us help you, serve you, and become a better version of you through lifestyle principles and practice. You've got a great team of people. You've got a great arsenal of information. You've got a great resource in the fact that we've got ideas and tools in-house. An in-house pharmacy that is there to help you, a detox center that's there to detox you, and in a way that you can make tomorrow, today, this hour more creative, more powerful than ever. So we always also want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel. We want you to come back, listen to these shows, share them with your friends, family, and loved ones, and know that this information will change your life. It'll change the way you live. It'll change the way you think. It'll change the way you interact with your environment. And it's all about, this idea that it's your life, your health, your choice. There's things that you can do. So we just welcome you to visit all of our social media platforms and tap in, get plugged in, and make sure that you keep the 24th, our Wellabration, on your docket, because that is the next upcoming exciting event that Living Well is going to be launching and rocking from 1 to 3 at our office, inside and out. You're going to get to see what God has done in our office, and what He's going to be continuing to do in and through our office. So may you all be blessed today. May you all have a fantastic and lovely day, and do something extraordinary today. Check you later.
It's KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.
1 to 3 p.m.